Happy 20th anniversary, Codename Kids Next Door. Y'all premiered on December 6th, 2002. I can't believe it's already been 20 years since this show premiered on Cartoon Network. I remember when I was about 5 or 6 years old and I was just watching Kids Next Door on Cartoon Network. I would always be fascinated with number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Number 1 was the leader. Number 2 was the smart one. Number 3, she was the kooky, kind of crazy one. Number 4 was the dimwit idiot. And number 5 was like a leader or the voice of reason. And I have always admired this show. This show was the blueprint for what we should know now. Is that kids should always be protected, and kids should always just stay in a kid's place and always mind their own kitty type business. I really think that this show really is the top 5 Cartoon Network show of all time. When we look at it in a different aspect as we see other shows on the Cartoon Network's lineup. For instance, Ed, Edd n Eddy. That show was about 3 teenage boys scamming, trying to get money in order to go get their jawbreakers. When we look at Courage the Cowardly Dog, how can I say it? A dog that's really not a coward. And he's trying to help his people, you know, especially Muriel, get away from monsters, right? And we look at the old Teen Titans. 5 teenagers trying to protect and defend the world from evil tyranny. It's so many different type of shows that you see on Cartoon Network that have their own different type of spin or different type of creative writing and look to it. But the Codename Kids Next Door had to be the most artistic, most thoughtful type of work that you could ever produce in an animation cartoon. You had literally a show about kids going against teenagers and adults. They lived in this treehouse. They had their own type of weapons. They didn't use real guns. They didn't use real bullets. They didn't use real lasers or anything like that. They just used toys, or it would be like a gun, but it would be like a ketchup bottle attached to it. And when you shot it, outside the gun came ketchup. Or like, for instance, number 3, she loved rainbow monkeys. Rainbow monkeys could have been like their own little thing had they wanted to do a spin-off. Number 4, Wallaby. He was an Australian. He had his own story. And that's one thing about Kids Next Door that I will always love. They all had their own specific story. Nigel Uno, number 1. His dad was the real Agent Zero. And father, who was the evil villain in the show, was the father of the original, what were they? The delightful children from down the lane was, what were they? They're like the original, like, team, I think. I forgot what it was, because I haven't seen Operation Zero. Operation Zero was like the last movie that came out for Kids Next Door. They did a spinoff with The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy as well. And that was pretty good. But Operation Zero really was like the telling of the whole series, kind of. Like, it ended everything. And keep in mind, we never did get the spinoff and the reunion or revival of the Galactic Kids Next Door. We're still waiting on that. But I doubt that Cartoon Network will ever pick that up, because Mr. Warburton has tried and tried again to tell Cartoon Network, hey, green light my show. I want this show on Cartoon Network. I want to finish the Codename Kids Next Door story. Please. We know number 1 has went up to space, and number 5 has taken control of Sector V. And now we're still waiting for Galactic Kids Next Door. So please, Cartoon Network, please pick Galactic Kids Next Door up, please. We need that. But anyway, back to the 20th anniversary and celebration for the original KND. So, Cree played number 5. And she had a sister. Which was Cree. And she was bad too. I mean, she was really bad too. I'm talking about let's talk about the villains. So we got the cat lady, who was obsessed with cats, her weird crazy self. You had that lunch lady that always fed them food because she wanted them to eat. Kids must eat. Kids must eat. Remember the episode when she was on that sandwich, that giant cheese sandwich or ham sandwich or whatever, and then they had to get the hamsters turned into like one big giant, like big rodent monster, and they had to fight the sandwich. And that was crazy. Like, that episode made me hungry because they was eating so much food and they got so fat because the lunch lady, she was an evil lady, and she wanted them to eat in order to like drag them down and get them obese. And that episode was crazy. Kids must eat. Kids must eat. And then you had father who was crazy, who was demented, and who was just plain evil. I mean, the voice was amazing on father. He sounded like a real villain. And then the delightful children from down the lane, they were just so connected to each other. Like, I could always be like, I was always thinking, I'm like, why can't y'all just break apart from each other? Like, y'all just stuck to each other like glue. And it was cool, man. I love Kids Next Door. I think Kids Next Door is in the top 5. It's gotta be. I put it in my top 5. My top 5 will probably be, it's a hard question. Because you look at all the different eras. You look at the late 90s. You had Dexter. You had Johnny Bravo. You had the Pop-Up Girls. You had Courage the Cowardly Dog. You had Cow and Chicken. You had I Am Weasel. You had so many different shows. And then you get to the early 2000s. You get Billy and Mandy. You get Kids Next Door. You get Robot Boy. You get Robot Jones. You get so many different shows in the early 2000s. Then you get the mid 2000s. You get Camp Lazlo, Juniper Lee, Hi Puffy Amiyumi, Foster's, Camp Lazlo, Crypto the Superdog, Ben 10. You can go on and on. I mean, the top 5 is so hard. But if I had a top 5, Ed and Eddie would be in my top 5. Kids Next Door would be my top 5. Courage the Cowardly Dog would be in my top 5. That's already 3 right there. And then 4 would have to probably be Teen Titans, the old Teen Titans. And then number 5, my last 5th one would probably have to be I'll probably put Samurai Jack up there. I mean, it's really hard to have a top 5. I mean, I could replace Samurai Jack with Camp Lazlo. I like Camp Lazlo, Pop-Up Girls. Man, Foster's. But, you know, it's really debatable. But, yeah, I just want to say that happy 20th anniversary to Codename Kids Next Door. Great show. Thank you, Mr. Warburton, and all the people that voiced the voice actors on Kids Next Door, and the people that produced the show, directed the show. Cartoon Network, thank you for allowing it to be greenlit at the time. That's when it was at the peak, boy. That's when it was really good. Like, that's when it was just on top. I mean, you can't get no better than that. Oh my gosh. coming back home from school back in the day, getting me a hot dog and some Lay's, sour cream and onion chips, just sitting down on the couch, watching Kids Next Door. Good times. But anyway, it's your boy Pyrotechnic. I ain't gonna hold y'all too long. I'm out. Happy 20th anniversary, Kids Next Door.